Adebisi loves to drop you in it.
He does.
All right, up here on the top of Akelon Wastes, it is none other than EG's Jaedong.
Audience loves him. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for clapping my
Thank you
teammate.
for clapping for my teammate.
And down here in the bottom right, it is none other than Elfi.
Not gonna lie, I am a fan of Elfi for this game. I do want to see this go to game 3. And Akelon Waste is traditionally a very good PvZ map. So a lot of the analysis that we talked about for Neoplanet S goes right out the frickin' window because it doesn't apply here as much. So Akelon Waste, your natural, very easily defended. That ramp, while large, is pretty good for a wall in, and it's just the one ramp. There's no back door that we're totally concerned about. But the reason this map becomes a big Protoss map is because of the destructible rocks that Adebisi just showed us, which gives you access to a third. Now, a third close to the natural, that's good, but what makes this map particularly good is that that third only has one entry point, and because it only has one entry point, even with those destructible rocks, that too becomes very defensible as well. So this is a great Protoss map for those reasons.
And it's not so good of a swarm host map.
No.
It's kind of big.
If it's cat style, it's okay. Just because the swarm host in the middle of the map with a million spine crawlers and spore crawlers can be good. But to your point, it's not a great swarm host map. Wow, this map's great for swarm host.
Yeah, I wonder what style Jaedong... I mean, Jaedong can pretty much play any style. I don't think that he's limited to just swarm host, for example, as you saw in the previous game. I think he's definitely a very good layer player. A lot of Zerglings, a lot of roaches, good surrounds, good macro. And just translate that into an advantage that he can use later on, whatever he chooses to use.
And I'll tell you, some Zerg players do... There's that pylon again that he's thinking about. I'll tell you, Elfi wants these weird cannon rushes, so that gets canceled, but he was thinking about a pylon on that high ground. He's not going to go for it because Jaedong sees all, but he's definitely tooling with the idea. What I was going to say, though, some Zerg players make the mistake of opening, like, Roach Ling or Roach Hydra on this map. This map is limiting in that way that if you do that, the Protoss can sit behind their wall in and play Monty Python where they call you names, and you just don't do anything. And then those units become completely cost ineffective when you try to throw them away. But the Protoss is happily on 3 bases, so you're probably trading like 20 Roaches and whatever amount of Lings for like force fields, which is just not a good idea.
Well, this is one of the most difficult groups in the second group stage here.
Yeah.
Ghosty User and Rhett are the other 2 players within this group, so this is group 12. Rather difficult, in all honesty, but on that thought, as Elfi needs to make sure he doesn't let these Zerglings in. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, the Zerglings just pushed right past the probe.
And those are Jaedong Zerglings, so I am going to fanboy out a little bit here, but guys, Jaedong is famous for his micro. And Elfi's going to have a tough time with this. 4 Lings is enough where if they choose to attack a structure, they do enough DPS that they could probably force you to bring something out. We do see a Zealot being made, so he's not going to target the Nexus because he would never bring the Nexus down. But he should continuously challenge the mineral line. And actually, Elfi's doing a good job of, yes, getting off the minerals and chasing the Lings away, but not pursuing. You don't actually want to pursue with the Zealot on the way.
All right, well, let's see if we can get a couple of probe kills here. That's ideally what he wants. I mean, at the end of the day, he doesn't necessarily have to because he's losing or forcing a lot of lost mining time, but probe kill's always nice here for Jaedong, and he's going to get a lot of scouting information. 4 Zerglings is a lot in this main base.
It is. He's going to want to challenge at the gas, but we see that Zealot actually incoming, so Elfi's bought enough time. And yeah, okay, Elfi did lose mining time, but quite frankly, that's not that big of a deal. I think he's actually lost, just now losing a probe.
Yeah, just lost one there for 2 Zerglings. Behind this, Jaedong's doing nothing but building drones, getting his overlords out, his Queen's lava injecting. But Elfi's in a bit of a pickle, as we like to say in England. I'm not sure if you have that in America too.
We do have pickles.
Okay. Do you have this? Do you have?
You get in them, yes.
You get in pickles as well?
We get in pickles.
Well, in America, you can probably do anything with pickles.
Do you know what a pickle is in reference to that saying, though, in America at least?
No.
In baseball, when you're caught trying to steal a base and you're running between 2 positions, you're in a pickle.
In a pickle?
Yeah, we're in a pickle.
Really?
Yeah.
In England, it just means you're in a bunch of crap.
Well, you guys call your poop pickles? Do they come out that way, Apollo?
We drink a lot of tea and eat a lot of biscuits.
And it makes your poop into pickles. All right, I do apologize for all the children listening in right now. The Lings do end up getting ran down, and Elfi is going to go for that fast third nexus. If you look at that production tab, you don't see any tech, and that's actually quite normal. You can go for that third nexus before a Robo or a Stargate, that's quite fine. The Mothership Core is going to give coverage against slow Lings. And take it away, Sean. I'm getting distracted by the makeup getting put on my face right now.
I was going to see how good you are with that, but...
thank you, guys. Thank you.
In Control loves his makeup. Let's just say that.
Marvet plays.
Zealot gets surrounded here by a bunch of slow Zerglings. As the Stalker's trying to escape here.
Oh, he's
not
stopped
going to
to
escape,
shoot.
is he?
That might have been a mistake. No, he's fine.
Okay.
Deion Sanders there. The slow Lings are a little bit interesting, though. I think Jaedong toyed with the idea of challenging the next side, but again, these are slow Lings, and that is a Mothership Core, and it will take a year and a half to kill anything, but it will kill everything. So I don't know that Jaedong should have gone for this, and that's good for Elfi.
Jaedong, though, has gone for a pretty fast layer and taken all gases relatively fast, too. You know, just kind of embracing the fact that Protoss players are most likely going to take quite a fast third base. As we can see, this is pretty fast. It's finished up by 8 minutes 40. And if you look at the previous game, it was finished up by like 10:30, 11 or something, I think it was.
So I think you might be right.
And he's got the Infestation Pit coming down immediately, as well as double Evolution Chambers. So he is going to play... Well, actually, I was going to say he's going to play Swarm Hose. But then melee upgrade, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
There's a couple of styles that I've seen recently come out from Zerg players. I'm not sure if Jaedong's going to go for it. It's actually straight up to Broodlords like that in an instant.
With melee upgrades?
Yeah, straight away. Like, as soon as that's done, go straight to Hive, go straight fast. Because if you think about it, if you send out a hallucinated Phoenix and you scout this, is that you see the double Evolution Chamber, maybe the Hive coming down early, all right, Ultralisks, and then you prepare very differently to how you would prepare if it was Broodlords. So that's just a wild guess. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, but he is actually getting the Locust upgrade, so may not be. But why melee upgrades?
I think it's because he will end up at Ultralisk. I don't think it's necessarily going to be like 20 Swarm Hosts. And even then, if it is, you can actually support it with Lings quite well. To your point, though, I think actually one mistake, not necessarily a mistake, but I guess we could just be critical of the decision.
Yeah, be critical. Well, that's what we're here for, Premier Casters.
Premier Casters. I feel like you should build a Spire regardless. So to your point, if I'm Elfi and I scout double Evo and Aspire, I think it's like Mutiling. But then it doesn't end up being that. It ends up being Corruptor, Locust, or Swarmos rather, and well-upgraded Lings. I feel like that just makes it much more difficult for Elfi. But Elfi right now scouts no Spire, double Evo, and Infestation Pit. That's Swarm Host. And he looks at it and he says, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to make 25 Colossus.
All right, well, thanks for tweeting in here as well, at Last Lighting. Jaedong versus Elfi, currently 1-0. Can the Finn beat the Korean, is the question here. That's going to be a difficult one, that's for sure, as the Swarmos do make their way across the map, quite a few of them. The Spire's coming down now as well, as the 1-1 upgrades are about to finish here. The thing is, for Elfi, he's scouted this nice and early. He's got the second Robo nice and early. He's got the Templar Archives coming down as well, which means he can go over to Storm quite fast.
He's moving out with a too small of an army, though.
Be careful.
I mean, he's trying to thin out he wants to get out and get some laser beams down with the Colossus, but he's got his sentries mixed in there. Actually, it's quite bad. But you know, every time Jaedong moves out with these early Swarmos, I look at it and I'm like, I don't like this. But actually, every time he does it, he's facing a very developmental Protoss army. Like, this army wants nothing to do with, the force field's could have been good there, but the Swarmos do actually deploy their little buddies.
Do you think a better decision here from Elfi, instead of getting the Temple Archives now, would have been to get the Dark Shrine in a Warp Prison? Or is that too risky?
Well, you know how I feel about it. The second you see Swarmos, you have to get the Warp Prism out. So Storm is going to really clog up his 3-base gas. Like, but Templar and Storm. That's good if you're facing like Roach, Hydra, Viper, because you need those feedbacks. You're dead otherwise. But against Swarm Hosts, I don't know that he needs to be going double Robo Colossus and Templar at the same time, because he's going to have to support that with like Zealots, and they just don't do anything.
Well, Jaedong has switched over to missile attacks now with his double Evolution Chamber after getting that +1 melee. But Elfi on this kind of map, not too difficult to take a 4th base. He easily pocketed it around the corner there. And he's going to be able to get gases from that base quite fast here. So Elfi's going to be able to pull this into the later stages.
This game's going to go the distance, and that range upgrade on the Evolution Chamber really speaks to that. I feel like that's him basically. He's not like lynching, he's not depending his entire strat on the fast Hive Ultralisk, like 3-3, boom, I go for Ultralisk. It's more of a, I'm going to have 20 Swarm Hosts dropping Locust all game long. I'm going to very much so take a quick 4th because of your quick 3rd, but I'm going to take a slower 5th. But I do want to say, I feel like the Storm and Templar should have came at the 4th base, not before. Because I feel like we should be looking at like 6 Colossus right now or something like that.
Yes.
I'm nitpicking a little bit, but I do want to see more of that.
All right, well, his army is a bit small at the moment, as you can see, not too big. But we are about to have the hive complete here. Is Jaedong going to start to build some Vipers to pull these Colossus? There are very limited amounts of them. Could be an option for him in a couple of moments' time, but these Zerglings, where are they going?
They don't know where to go. They looked at the natural and they're like, oh, he walled in fairly well. I don't want to risk it. So they're going to sit at the natural, no.
So it didn't really do too much there. As Elfi does manage to squeeze a couple of Zealots out from the north side, but not really going to find too much there. As the Swarmhouse count's quite big. Jaedong's going to move them forward and it's going to start piling the pressure on into this open area.
Creep spread all the way to that point, by the way. Very important to note. Like, a lesser Zerg would not have that creep spread, which means that the Swarmhouse and the support units like Queens are going to be that much more vulnerable. Oh, those poor probes. Like, 2 of them made it through.
To be honest, one of the first actual strikes to either of the players throughout the entire game. A very passive one.
Very passive.
Jaedong manages to bring down quite a few.
Oh, the Templar. No, why are you... Elfi, why?
One, so he kills a bunch of probes and a Templar with just Locust now. So Jaedong's starting to take a bit of an edge in this game. Mothership Core goes down as well on the left-hand side as these Corruptors starting to rain havoc on that left-hand side flank.
Yeah,
but, I mean, where is Elfi going? Where does he need to be?
Not here. I mean, this army needs to be getting those Locusts' attention elsewhere. If they can just sit there and deploy Locusts over and over and over again like this, it's going to be quite bad. That being said, though, Elfi is growing his army. Like, he is at that critical mass of Colossus. He's adding the Stalkers. And with Storm, he can destroy a volley of Locusts quite quickly, as we can see here. So if Jaedong loses those Swarmos, that's it. That's game for him. It's really hard to supply behind that.
All right, well, it's going to come down to the fights, most likely. With the Vipers coming in now, Jaedong's going to attempt to start pulling some of these Colossus in. To be honest, Elfi's got to get High Templar ready to feedback them, or otherwise he could be in a bit of a pickle, right, Jeff?
He will be in a pickle.
He'll
be in those poops.
He'll be in those poops.
5-base Zerg right now. Jaedong does creep down the left side of the map. That purple connecting all his bases. Right now it's Protoss versus Locust, which is a slow and painful death, even getting Guardian Shield to make sure the Locusts don't do too much damage.
Do you know what I really like in this situation?
What do you like?
I like actually getting the Mothership Core, the real Mothership.
Yeah.
And just sit back. And because all the Locusts come in, they don't actually do anything because you can't have... any vision on that side.
It is good. It's good for sitting around, but then it gets abducted and shot down, and you're like,
but then you never attack with it. You always leave it at home.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
You just sit there and let the Locust come in and never lose anything.
It's not bad. Now, this is a really important moment right here. We do have a lot of Spike Crawlers going down, but more importantly, it's going to be Vipers and Corruptors versus expensive units. Now, the feedbacks are the life and death of Elfi. If he can stop those Vipers... then that army is not nearly as scary, but if those Vipers tug half those Colossus into the fray...
Oh, there goes one, he grabs one, and that's going to fall down relatively fast. Jaedong, really cost-efficient in this game, hardly losing anything so far.
No, it's only 4 Colossus at this point, too. And there's the Templar, and they didn't just die, did they? No, he's got a couple in there. Okay.
Yeah, he needs to get the feedbacks down here. If Elfi loses the Colossus, the Swarm Host will kill everything.
Yeah.
So he's got to be super careful.
No Mothership Core. There should be no returning from this.
Here come the Vipers. Here come the Corruptors. He's going to grab these Colossus.
We need those abducts. There's a storm down. That's not what you need to do. You need to feedback. 1. 2 of the Colossus going down. Well, 1 survives, actually.
3 Colossus survive here. 2 High Templar as well. Probably don't have too much energy left. Another storm does come down here. And it looks like Elfi's going to get this base. How is he going to continue here from the... Oh, another Adopt and the Colossus get picked up. Both of them go down. 1 is remaining. But there's not too many left units here for Jaedong. And Elfi trades quite equally there. Corruptor's going to come in.
It's interesting. I think the Templar die here too. If it weren't for if you could have like saved 2 Colossus and a few of the Templar, I'd call this a win for Elfi. But quite frankly, he lost all his gas for a base that Zerg's banking on. I mean, look at the bank of Jaedong: 2,500, 200, 200. He doesn't care. He's like, oh no, I don't have more of a bank later. But his Swarm hosts were untouched, Apollo. Yeah. That means that they can poop out more little buddies all game long.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems when you don't use Warp Prisms and you use your main army to try to come around and take these bases. You're going to lose a lot.
Yeah.
With a Warp Prism, it's a little bit less riskful. You don't lose as much. But we are going to have Elfi with a 3rd robotics facility coming down. He's on the back foot now because he lost quite a lot.
6 City.
6 City.
They all just rolled over and died because they were afraid of that Colossus. Now, here comes the next problem. Elfi is looking at the map and he says, there's actually creep everywhere. Where does Elfi take his 5th base? I mean, 4 base is good for Protoss. Like, you can see that Elfi is approaching max. He, too, has not necessarily a bank, but he's got healthy money. He's okay on money for now, but as that main and natural dry up, he's going to be looking for a 5th, and he'll have to go into Zergland for that. That's going to be tough to do.
And Zergland is not a happy land.
No, it's not like Disneyland.
It's not like Disneyland.
It's like Disneyland without security straps and belts, which would be terrifying, actually, especially for somebody the size of me.
I kind of like that.
You like that idea?
Yeah, I like that idea. I like the adrenaline rush.
All right. Well, I know I'm taking you to Disneyland next time. I'll be like, hey, Sean. You'll notice you can actually just cut that or unbuckle.
Would you like to take a ride with Winnie the Pooh?
Go Space Mountain and see you unbuckled.
Oh, Zerglings have made their way into the mainland natural here. Nothing.
Oh, both the Robos.
Robos, the Cybercore. He's not going to rebuild any more Robos for a while. Jaedong, you sneaky little fellow, as he brings both them down and the Cybernetics core. Even gets a couple of Zerglings into the main base too. Nice little play there by Jaedong.
It is really nice. I mean, the fact that we're at 20 minutes plus and he's doing a Ling run by like that is equal parts good for Jaedong, but also bad for Elfi. Elfi really should, at this point in time, have that covered. And if you're playing against a player the caliber of Jaedong, they're going to exploit little mistakes like that. Like, I guarantee you, that's not something that happens every day on the ladder for Elfi, but when you're playing Jaedong sitting in front of a live audience, this is the stuff that does happen.
All right, well, we are going to have Jaedong push forward a little bit here with the Locust.
That is a scary army.
Gets a time. He actually gets a Templar and a couple of Stalkers there. But remember, these Vipers are coming in. One Colossus gets picked up, and that's going to go down. And it does fall down, and Storm gets an edge of a couple of Corruptors, but not too much there.
This is a scary army from Elfi. It's just, unfortunately, this army needed to be here about 7 minutes ago with the Warp Prism dragging the attention away from the middle of the map. But right now, it's Spinecrawlers buying time, Locust creeping in, and the Vipers haven't been the most insanely awesome Vipers, but they've been methodical. They've been consistent, you know?
Oh, Jaedong's got into the base again with a bunch of Zerglings.
Oh, and Elfi is at 192 supply, so he can warp in stuff. He's just not doing it yet.
Yeah, and he brings down one pylon, turns
okay,
off
there's
4
the warp
gateways. But
whoa! That's actually great for Elfi. He's able to pick off a few of those Corruptors. Again, the bank for the Berserk means that he's going to be able to resupply that, but for right now, I feel like that should have been his action point, but he's distracted by what's going on at home, so he's not moving out. You can see that little blob in the map. That's blue.
Yeah.
Those are red. Those are Locusts.
The problem is, though, that Jaedong's been so cost efficient, he's hardly lost anything in this game. And he's got so much gas. He's got +3 attack on the way for his air. Like, a Mutalist crazy switch could happen. Anything can happen at this point. He can use any units. He's upgrading everything. Vipers do go down. A couple of Corruptors, too.
Elfi is getting a pretty good exchange right here. A nice storm. A lot of the Corruptors going down. The Vipers are dead. The Swarm hosts are there. They're not supported. Is there no detection? Does he not have the ability? There's the Observer right there. All the Swarm hosts are going to go down. Jaedong is all of a sudden making that critical mistake.
Time to use that EG money to actually replenish his army here. He's got so much money in the bank.
Yes.
29 Mutalists. See, being on EG, you can afford 29 Mutalists to come out in an instant. Yeah, any other Zerg player on lesser-known teams, they can't do that.
No, that's just monster money right there.
That's monster money right there. And that's a lot of units coming in. And Elfi has no idea that this is coming in.
No, all of a sudden those Stalkers become pretty silly. This is like, well, I don't have really an analogy for it. It's not very good. The Archons are going to be great for stand-up fight, not good for defense. You want those ranged Phoenix, Storm, or something. Elfi, I mean, he's got pretty good cannon coverage in his one healthy mining base, but look at that. That's the natural. We just saw the third from Adabisi. And it's Shantytown. They are on threadbare right now. They're not doing too hot.
All right, let's see the Mutalists rain some terror down. Oh, God, that's not what I expected.
No. Rain some terror. They're like, run for our lives! I could have sworn I just saw all the Swarmos die, but there are another batch of Swarmos just there.
Oh, he's
got to be careful. Oh. Good storm right there, though. And I'll tell you, Elfi with this army control is keeping himself here.
So good play from Elfi, considering he's been on these 4 bases for so long. He's
certainly not his macro that's keeping him alive, but it's definitely the army control. He's doing great.
Yeah, he's doing so well here, and he's got such
a good army. How does Jaedong
army.
stop this?
We'll find out soon. Jaedong still has 6,000 gas in the bank, so he has a couple of options. He has, well, it depends on his lava as well. He must be hitting those lava
he's
jacks.
Going to base trade.
Going to base trade back. And what's Elfi going to do? Does he come back? Does he go forward? He's got
to keep going. He has to keep going.
But how does he stop everything else? How is he going to stop the Mutalists from killing everything?
I agree with you. It's just if he goes home.
Oh, the Swarm host going down as well.
Does he still have an Observer? If he loses that Observer, he's in big trouble because the Swarmers could just constantly launch. The Templar have all been made in Archons except for, I think, just one of them. I wish Jaedong set himself up for a situation where he's like, oh, okay, 20 Ultralists. Like, 20 Ultras here would have been great, but he's not. So he's just going to go for the base trade. He's actually remaking the Spire just to be safe. God. There's a million Spinecrawlers. And how many meters is he making?
27
right
more.
Oh, my God.
And he's already got 24.
Well, he can actually just win the straight-up fight, even with those Archons. Like, you just magic box them, and they're great.
Yeah, Jaedong's just got too much money at this point. Despite Elfi crushing through, he's been on 4 bases for 28 minutes. Jaedong's been on 5, 6, 7. I don't even know how many bases he's been on now. He's got a bunch of spine crawlers at that south position. Another expansion down here.
Buying the win.
Just buying the win.
Frickin' buying the win.
You guys.
Jaedong didn't even micro like this stupid player.
Stupid player. I gave Elfi $50 to give me this best of 3, and he did.
Yeah.
He's on Team Ents. They don't quite have the sponsors you guys do.
Look at this. He's targeting the one Archon like a jokester. If it weren't for all that money, he totally would have lost. Idiot.
Another Nexus is going down here as Jaedong continues the onslaught as more and more Mutalisks pop out. And at the end of the day, if you look at the units tab, what really does Elfi have to combat this? 2 Archons and 20 Stalkers. 4 High Templar thrown in the mix as well, but there's 47 goddamn Mutalisks.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, actually in a straight-up fight, if you were to land a Storm and the Archons were to get off any kind of blast on a compacted group of Mutalisks, he could actually win a stand-up fight, but that should never happen. What should happen is that Jaedong uses those 47 Mutalisks to kill all the buildings of Elfi, because if you look at this, I mean, Elfi actually only has 200 minerals, so even if he were to somehow escape with his probes, he's not going to be able to remake anything. But I think Jaedong will go for the stand fight because those Archons just got tickled to death by those phallic spine crawlers.
Yeah, I think Jaedong may take a stats
what are you doing?
Spines.
Oh, God! Not that it mattered, but he just moved command into the spine crawlers.
An Archon falls down as well as a couple of Stalkers too, and Swarm hosts to really annoy Elfi some more as Jaedong, currently leading this series 1-0, is looking at taking this 2-0 very shortly as the flock of Mutalisks comes in.
They're in duck formation! Oh, no!